tried to bring you into because I knew I would remember. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect timing too. So a couple updates to just go over is I just want to do a reminder to this is a good time to look at your PGMS contact and update those for especially for first things first when we are trying to email about grant things. We will pull that and email the program contact or the eval specialist or whoever is listed to get a hold of you. So if it's not the right person there or if it's not getting to the right people, just a good opportunity to take a look at who is listed as we will send it to them. And then we hope that those people disseminate to the people on your staff that would need the information. It's easier. I have like 56 contracts. And so if each of one of those contracts have 5 staff, it just gets to be a lot and turnover and all of that. So when we send mass emails and stuff, we go to our PGMS contact list and do it that way. So just a yearly reminder that it'd be a good time to make sure that those are correct. Make sure if you had some staff changing that the right people are in there. The second thing I just kind of wanted to do a level set of today. We know that you get invited to a lot of meetings and we know that it can be really confusing. We've got the FRN. We've asked if people wanted to join the FRAC. Those are the Family Resource Network. This is what we call Coffee with First Things First or the Community of Practice. And this is for First Things First funded Family Resource Centers for an opportunity for you guys to come together to collaborate, to learn peer support and continuous quality improvement around our standards of practice. That's our main goal and our main mission is going to be around the requirements of First Things First funding in our grant. So just kind of level set. I know it can be confusing of all the meetings that you guys get invited to. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then we've got, I'm going to turn it over next to Mitzi. Is she here with us today?
I am
Okay,
here.
perfect.
Thank you for having
Awesome.
me.
Yes. So I'm going to turn it over to you and I'll let you introduce yourself and talk about what you would like to share with our Family Resource Center staff today.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Molly. And thank you all for having me and for Kat for inviting me. And Claire and Molly as well have recently been engaged on some of the topics that I'm going to raise today. So I am with Piper Trust. I'm working with them in the development of a strategy that I think Aaron Goodman may have talked about with some of you previously, having to do with access by area human service organizations, family-focused organizations, youth-focused organizations to gain access to basic material goods that are used in the distribution to meet, again, basic needs of families and communities that nonprofits in our community are serving. And one of the things that has emerged from that is a lot of it's donated, corporate donated, et cetera. But one of the things that emerged from that is just an observation from a number of the human services organizations that they can never get enough diapers. We just kept hearing this over and over, especially the larger sizes. And so we got inquisitive, started looking into what's going on in Arizona on this issue of diapers, access to diapers, where is there unmet diaper need? How does it matter? Where does it link into other priorities and efforts? That we already know are really important around economic development and educational opportunity and family stability and well-being and thriving and community caring for community. So we're still in a course of discovery around what this issue is in Arizona and have been learning some things along the way that I want to share with you, but also take an opportunity to hear from your vantage point how diaper need shows up in your family resource centers or in the communities that you're already closely engaged with. And so I'm going to run a quick poll while we're here live together, just to take that conversation forward a bit. I know that many of you may have responded to one of the survey questions that was incorporated in the summit at the end of August. So we're going to build from that and take this just a little bit further and have a moment to discuss. And then this certainly won't be the last time we discuss. So with that, I would like to project to share a quick presentation on what we've learned thus far about how this issue presents in Arizona, and I'm not going to take it to the full view because then I can't see you. Are you able to see this? Is this large enough to read?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, let me run through some of what we've learned so far, and this may be new, it may not be new to each of you. So when there is diaper need, the diaper need is just the difference, the delta between the number of changes and therefore quantity of diapers to keep a baby or a toddler healthy and dry, and the number of diapers that the family has available for those changes. Like that's it, that's the diaper need. And we're seeing that in the evidence, again, not surprising to you, I'm sure, but we're seeing in the evidence from other places in the country that when families don't have enough diapers, when they have to stretch the supply, that this results in different kinds of health risks, increased incidence of diaper rash, UTIs, and then expenses that go along with those things, the over-the-counter care, as well as urgent care or emergency care visits. And that it also results in parental stress and shame. And one of the things that has completely blown my mind in talking with the National Diaper Bank Network is the repeated research over multiple years in multiple settings that diaper need, this diaper insecurity, is more strongly correlated with maternal depression than food insecurity is. That it's really important to a sense of the family being able to take care of itself, to maternal self-efficacy, and that intimate, close physical relationship between a mother and a child. It also impacts economic opportunity. Nationally, again, the National Diaper Bank Network has found that of those families experiencing diaper need, about 25% of them actually miss work on a regular basis because they can't supply the child care center with the necessary diapers for that day. And that on average, in states where there's a lower minimum wage, that results in about $5,000 lost income for a family in a year. It may be higher, maybe a little bit different in Arizona, but we think it's substantial. And then the fourth thing is that we're seeing when there is this unmet diaper need is that families have to make trade-offs. Like they're mostly paying for these diapers themselves, some way or another. And so if they're having to buy diapers, then they may eat less. There may be other food, clothing costs, or other kinds of expenses for the household that they're just having to trade off. Then this is a bit of information about what we think may be going on here in Arizona in terms of diaper insecurity or diaper need. That it could be roughly half, maybe 47%, 55%, but somewhere around half of Arizona families are likely to have diaper need, have difficulty affording enough diapers. And diaper costs are about $80 to $100 per month per child for multiple years, so it's a substantial expense. It's actually the fourth largest household expense after housing, food, and utilities for families where there's diapering. Um, and because so many diapers are needed and families are mostly buying them, um, that it's that last like 25 to 30% of a diaper supply, whether you think of it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, where families just cannot stretch that far and therefore start these other behaviors of changing less often, of staying home, and not going to work because they can't provide the childcare with the diapers, etc. So we think it's a big deal, like actually maybe a really important thing, and are talking with organizations who are focused on serving families and supporting families in a variety of ways to learn, what's going on. Do you see this? Does this show up? What is anyone focused on this in a way or another? And then from there, we can unearth together what might be done to address this in a more intensive way, larger scale way, integrated way with some of the other programs and priorities that organizations such as yourselves, as well as many other nonprofits in our community have. So Claire and Prevent Child Abuse Arizona were kind to include this question in the summit in August of what portion of the families you serve appears to have difficulty with sufficient supply of diapers. And I think maybe you've seen these numbers already, but just to ground us in it, that a very small percent of you all working through and with family resource centers in Arizona said that it's a small number who appear to have difficulty, or that you couldn't say. Like the the preponderance said that at least a quarter of the families that you all are touching have diaper insufficiency. And a lot of you, the preponderance said that at least half of the families do. So, with that in mind, we wanted to take it forward a little bit and find out a little bit more from your vantage point. Um, if you are distributing diapers already, if so, how you're sourcing those diapers and how you're storing those diapers, just as initial starting point. So I'm about to put into the chat a link for you to go in and take maybe 3 minutes. I don't think it'll take us any longer than that to fill it out, and then we'll have a few minutes to talk with one another. Let me grab this link. Let's make sure that actually takes. Yeah, there it is. It's in the one that actually looks like a link. If you would just take 3 minutes, and we'll see our results in real time in just a moment.
If there's multiple from the same center, do you want us to all to answer the question?
Yes, that's a great question. Please do. We have you write down the name of your center, and then we can make sure that we're not double counting later. Please make some kind of sign if anyone's having difficulty getting into it. Otherwise, I'll just give you time. Does anyone need more time? I see there are 14 responses.
I could use another minute.
Okay, we'll have another minute. For anyone finishing, please go ahead, but I'll start to run through these results. Sounds like the vast majority of you all are distributing diapers. Here you can see the different levels, some at a really pretty high level, most under 1,000 or 3,000 to 5,000, somewhere in that range. A lot through community donations, partnership with Arizona Diaper Bank, some purchase. Let me see the sources. There are some here with a wholesale provider. I'll be interested. If someone, whomever uses a wholesale provider, would you please put that in the chat? And we can follow that up. Mostly on-site, some donated. And then let's see what you say in terms of kind of ideas. Diaper sleeves. We have to do it this way. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for doing that quick survey. We'll take a look at it, but I wanted to open it up, Molly, if we have time. I don't know how much time we have, 2 or 3 minutes for a couple of
Like
comments.
2 or 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this issue or where we should take this in exploring how and what to focus on to either better understand how diaper need factors into your programs, or if you already see that, how to address diaper need? I'm just really open to whatever your ideas and thoughts are.
So I think this is Janelle from Lutheran Social Services, and this is one of the ongoing needs that I know our program has. And we are partners with the Arizona Diaper Bank, but we still run out. And one of the issues, so I noticed some people are saying they don't split. There's a very specific rebundling process
Okay.
that as members of the diaper bank, we have to do. Like they trained us on how to rebundle. And it's time consuming and
Okay.
we do it with volunteers, but yeah, it's a lot to pick it up monthly. You know, you don't think about when you go to pick up $3,000 or $4,000 diapers every month. That's a large car, and hopefully we have a staff member who has it. And most of us are women, so it takes some muscle. You
Mhm.
know, it's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Jennifer at Santa Cruz Family Resource Centers, and we actually stopped distributing diapers because we did get them from the Southern Arizona Diaper Bank, and it just became really cumbersome to work with them. I mean, I know they had very good intentions, but we had to go up once a month, and it's an hour away to pick up the diapers, and then you just kind of get what you get. And so we'd end up with, all these size ones and twos, and then every family wants fives and sixes. And
Mhm.
so we often didn't have the right size. And then they have reports that are due, which every vendor does, and I'm not against a report, but the thing that we couldn't always justify is that after you gave the diapers out for, and somebody else who works with them might be able to clarify this statement, but more or less they were saying that after you gave them for 3 months in a row, that you were supposed to prove that somehow they had changed their situation so they didn't need diapers anymore. And we found that to be untrue over and over and over, that they always needed diapers. And the fact that they got diapers for 3 months in a row wasn't enough to change their situation.
No, it doesn't
so
change
that
the
they'd
economics of this.
Exactly. And so there's somebody else in our community that was doing the diaper distribution. And so we refer to them, and the United Way in Santa Cruz County gives out diapers once a week, I think. And so we just referred to them and have chosen, between that, the hour drive, the reporting, the fact that we felt like, it's like we don't want to lie, but we're, the 4th month, what are you supposed to do? Like, sorry, you're not eligible anymore. It just didn't, it felt wrong.
Yeah, thank you.
Ellie, go ahead.
I was just gonna share that I wrote this in the chat during the comment there, but we do a coupon system. I know some other FRCs do that too, but I didn't know if that was useful or if anybody else was curious. So the first time people come in, they get an emergency pack, we call it, which is about 20 to 25. We take the big ones and chop them in half. And after that, anytime they come to a class or an event, they get a little CFRC coupon from us. And then when they collect 6 of them, then they can turn them back in for an additional pack. So it's just kind of a way to stay connected. And we were finding before that it was like a lot of the same families just getting them over and over. And so this is a way to be like, yes, we have them. Our resources are limited. So please come back for an event and to, just keep them connected to our center. Just throwing that out in case that's an
Thank
idea
you.
anybody might benefit from.
Okay. I know you have many more things to cover in this agenda, so I won't take too much time here. But we'll invite you to be thinking about this more and talking with one another. And then I know Kat and Claire will keep the lines of communication open to be thinking about if there's like a bigger, more effective, more efficient way that as a community of organizations, we can be addressing this with families. So I just really look forward to continuing a conversation on this over the months to come.
Thank you. And before you leave, I think Patty has something to say. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Patty.
Right. So and I did put it in the chat. So City of Phoenix periodically has diaper distribution, and it's awesome because they can get, sometimes like 100 diapers for the month. And go to, like in our case, Travis L. Williams Community Center, and they don't have to wait in line forever. And they've got a really nice system of doing it. So we let our people know and make sure that they know, to go and how, and the paperwork's minimal. And I don't know if anybody else, takes advantage of that, but we do the diaper distribution at the U of A Roosevelt Center, giving them as incentives or educational reinforcement items, but they only get 10. And again, like you said, Janelle, we repackage them. And so that takes some effort and time and cost of bags and things like that. But there's such a need. And if we can find some way, if you're looking for people to be on a committee, I'd love it to be on a committee
Great
to
to hear,
explore
Patty.
this. It just makes so much sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you so much for coming, for caring about this, for hearing from our FRCs. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the work that you all are doing, and I'll leave you to the rest of your coffee conversation and agenda and look forward to coming back to this at a future time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And it's a good conversation. So thank
Thanks,
you.
Molly.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, if you want to, thank you. I've got a little PowerPoint. So now we'll kind of move into our outcomes that we collected for state fiscal year 25 that we've been excited to share with you all. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide, and we'll start with the protective factors survey. So just kind of some level setting with the protective factors survey. It is in the standards of practice to administer to administer it once a year. So we will continue doing this survey all 4 years of the grant cycle. So I know there's some confusions between protective factors and L4G, so hopefully I can clear some of that up today. And we are asking that you are mindful and you are using the Protective Factor Survey 2nd edition retrospective survey. Once again, it's in English and Spanish. We do appreciate your feedback. We hear it. We talk with friends when we get the opportunity, which isn't very often, but it is also helping us plan ahead. So while you might think, well, nothing's being done in this grant cycle, it's kind of already in the standards of practice and it's what we have as outcomes for this cycle, but it is helping us plan for the future. So we really do want to encourage you to keep the communication open with us and letting us know what's working, what isn't, what's a challenge. And then once again, the purpose of the protective factors survey is to determine if your interventions at your family resource center are effectively increasing protective factors and improve family resilience. And we're doing that by assessing the changes in the family's protective factors over time that they are reporting from their before versus after. So really it's kind of looking at an increase in protective factors from a family self-reporting after visiting your family resource center. And once again, we are asking that once a family hits those 10 to 12 hours is when we survey them, because that's when friends have said that that's where they see that shift in an increase in protective factors is once a family has had that 10 to 12 hours of touch points. So I just kind of wanted to do that level setting of protective factors. And then Michelle, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is for state fiscal year 25. And this is our 2nd year of collecting protective factor survey data. And on the right, you'll see the survey is offered in English and Spanish. And the 4 main areas that it is that we're collecting data on. So it's family functioning and resiliency, nurturing and attachment, social supports, and caregiver practitioner relationship. Plus, it also gives us a one-time snapshot on concrete supports. So on the left, you'll see the demographics. So this year we had 634 parents complete the protective factor surveys across all of our family resource centers. The average caregiver was 37 years old, ranging from 20 to 79. The majority of the participants were identified as Hispanic. Most were married or partnered. As you can see, majority of them have a college education or more or higher. And but it's important to note also that we, as you guys know, our family resource centers do serve parents of all walks of life. And this is just a snapshot of those parents who completed surveys and who have received 10 to 12 hours of services at your family resource center. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so here you've got on the left side, the lighter blue is the before, and the left side is, the left side is before, and then the right side, the darker blue, is the now. So what we're seeing is that's where parents said before coming to the FRC, X, Y, and Z, and then now after coming and receiving services at the FRC, X, Y, and Z. So in family functioning and resiliency, nurturing and attachment, and social supports, more than half the parents improved on average. So you can see those scores right there. Compared to the state fiscal year 24, the percent of improvement in family functioning stayed steady at 59%, while nurturing and attachment and social supports both saw gains. So that's really exciting to report on. And then an increase in all 4 domains were statistically significant and had at least a small effect size. Let me see, I'm trying to look at my notes. But it's important to note that the increase in
Okay, I'm just waiting for my headphones.
was in CPR, and that is a note from Allison, and I'm not sure what CPR stands for.
It's caregiver practitioner relationship.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I
Thank
think
you.
last cycle,
Oh, I see that right
I
there.
mean, last year it was not significantly significant, and this year it is. I think that's the note.
Yep, so the note is that the caregiver practitioner was statistically significant for this year, where last year, it said there were a 30% increase. So this year there was a 39% increase. So there was 9% improvement on that one. So that's what we've got for the protective factor as a whole. I'm going to pause there to ask if there's any questions specifically pertaining to the protective factor survey and the data that we just shared with you.
Okay, I am going to jump in and say you can see that the N is really low. 634 participants is extremely low. This past state fiscal year, first things first, Family Resource Center. So all of you guys served over 29,000 individual families. So we know that from much of your feedback that it's hard to administer the survey and that families don't like the survey. It still is the best snapshot we have on what's happening in family resource centers when it comes to parent outcomes, family outcomes. It's still what's used the most nationally in other states as well. And so we really do want to see this increase over time. I know that we have had many conversations with many of you about the protective factor survey and administering it. But one of the things that we'll talk about more in depth is learning from one another on ways that we can be more savvy with making sure that this survey gets done so that we can show the absolute incredible work that you all do as family resource centers and the impact that it's making on families, especially as we're coming to a pretty steep funding cliff for our next funding cycle in state fiscal year 2028. So please keep that in mind.
Thank you, Kat. Any other questions? I see something in the chat. I didn't look. Let's look at the chat. Okay. Nothing new. That was from the diapers. Okay. We will have time for questions at the end too. So if something pops up, we can definitely do that. So next up is the roadshow. All right, Michelle, you can hop it to the next slide. So we sent out a summary of what we gathered, a report that we gathered that Julia put together, and Kat and Allison and I were able to have some input on, and we sent it out to, once again, we did it to the FRC main contacts. And so if you haven't seen that, maybe check with that person and they can hopefully administer it to the staff, or you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to send that to you. But I'm just going to kind of real quickly touch base on some of the things that we gathered and learned from the roadshow. So if you remember, we did this back from November 24 till May of 25, and we were really looking at implementation strategies, outcome alignments, emerging priorities. We had you guys list all of your state fiscal year 24 quarter 2 parenting activities so we could get an idea of that. And we asked some questions about how implementation of surveys was going as well. So these visits really helped us gain a deeper understanding of how you guys use the protective factors in action. You guys shared some tips and tools as well as some challenges. And this was helpful for us to gather ideas for future planning, as well as some topics for some community of practice topics in the future, some systems building, and even some thoughts and ideas that we might add into theory of change or standards of practice or data requirements for the next funding cycle. So we just also want to say thank you for making yourselves available to us, and we really did, it was really a highlight of our year getting to come and have that FaceTime with each of our family resource centers, whether it was in person or online. So thank you. We can go to the next one. Okay, so what we heard from you guys is that these parent-child interactions were your most attended activities at family resource centers. and that most often the parent-child interactions built 4 protective factors: children's social emotional competence, knowledge of parenting, nurturing and attachment, and social supports. And we found out that 79% of the parenting activities were solely funded through FTF funds. You guys also shared that parents prefer these activities because it solves problems such as childcare, or parents maybe not wanting to split from their children. So it's just a really great opportunity to entice families to be able to come in when they could comfortably be with their children. Some popular topics you guys told us were story times, sensory play, STEAM classes, cooking with kids, Zumbini or music sessions. And we also learned that many of you guys support parents in completing ages and stages questionnaires as part of parenting activities. We found that the majority of our FRCs send families home with activity packets or follow-up emails, photos of lesson plans, or just extra support that families can continue learning at home. So that was a pretty cool thing to learn about how each of you guys are individually doing that. All right, Michelle, we can go to the next one. So when we had asked about children's social and emotional competence, one thing that stood out was that most of you guys told us that had some kind of a story about kids who started off shy, ended up becoming familiar, getting a routine down, really just kind of like opening up, and you guys were noticing these children flourish from being able to participate in these activities. So we got to hear so many great stories about that, but also parents. We were seeing parents really flourish in that too, and we've got that one coming up too. But we saw that you guys mentioned a lot of relationship building, as well as that staff modeling was really important too. And as I mentioned, so it's not just about the kids, it was really helpful for the parents, and for the parents to be able to see how staff model how to talk about big feelings or reading with children, or strategies to help them self-regulate with big emotions and things like that. All right, next slide. So workshops were another main parenting activity that we saw at Family Resource Centers. And this is a way for you guys to engage new families with enticing programs. So we heard a lot about car seat safety was a way that you got new families in. You helped families who needed car seats come, and then they learned about your center, and then they were kind of hooked and continued to come back. And we learned a lot about strong community partnerships with organizations like the Department of Child Safety, Phoenix Children's Hospital, or the Governor's Office, which helped you guys get some car seats. And the top protective factor for worksheets that you guys mentioned was knowledge of parenting. So 69% of the time, that is what you guys had said that your workshops focus on, that protective factor. All right, then we've got parent support groups, and you guys said that this builds the protective factor of social supports and connection. 92% of you reported that. So let's see. So what we learned too is many centers have a parent advisory council and a formal way of convening parents together. Parents in these groups, we've also learned you guys have given them a voice to be leaders within their communities and their peers, and many of them have gone on to join PTAs or re-enter the workforce after their children start school. Some of them are running their own parenting activities at your family resource centers, which is awesome. We've heard that many have started businesses with the support of parent support groups at your centers, and some have even been hired and have become FRC staff themselves. So some really amazing things were shared with us about what is coming out of parent support groups. And then also a big one too is that have come out is some of our family resource centers have actually put the parent villages into practice, which is a curriculum that was developed by Dr. Dana Suskin, where a small group of parents learn leadership and organization skills, deepen their knowledge of child development, and connect to national networks shaping policies for their families. So that was really exciting to see that there's some really big things on a wide spectrum of things that families are gaining from parent support groups. All right, next slide. And then of course we've got our events, and the protective factor that was reported that events hit on is social support. 60% of you reported that, or concrete supports, 46% responded to that. And so these events you guys told us are a wide variety of things as well, from community baby showers to holiday gatherings, back to school events, cultural celebrations, and services might include things like immunizations, sensory screenings, backpack drives, haircuts, yard sales, and book giveaways. So a very wide variety of options for events. Also, you guys told us that you do receive support from community organizations for events, things like in-kind donations from partners like Amazon, food banks, Molina Healthcare, as well as diapers, clothing, and food. We also learned that many FRCs work with local restaurants like Salad and Go, Einstein Bagels, Pizza Hut, and Domino's to be able to offer food to families. And then I already went over the protective factor that it was connected to. So that is for events. And then just a couple additional highlights is we heard some really great stories that don't show up in numbers. So that was really amazing for us. And even some of these that don't show up in narrative reports all the time, because we ask for 2 stories, so that could be limited. We loved hearing about FRCs in school districts, how they tap into the district resources, oftentimes linking families to social workers or McKinney-Vento staff for extra supports, other family resource centers who are well connected that are able to refer families to other programs, or sometimes programs that they're co-located with and can just do warm handoffs with. We've learned that many of you guys utilize volunteers, which is amazing, to help prep materials or run activities. We've heard about college students or AmeriCorps volunteers helping with front desks or managing referrals, and community members able to jump in with donations, food distributions, setup, and even lawn care. So that's kind of just a highlight of the roadshow. You guys, we did send out a more in-depth brief that Julia put together, so I hope you had a chance to read it. I think it was a lot of great information. Okay, I'm going to pause there and see if anyone has any questions about that. Okay. I'm not seeing any, so we will move into Listen for Good. And Kat, I'll let you take it away in a second. I'll just do kind of a little bit of level setting. So we had our protective factor survey. I talked about that one. This is the Listen for Good survey. And the purpose of this survey is to gather feedback directly from clients, as well as volunteer staff or partners, anyone that took it, so that you can address most pressing needs. So this is more of like a customer service one, where the other one was focused on how protective factors were being met in the families that you serve. And then also just a quick heads up, this is hot off the press. So we are expecting to send this report out very soon to everybody. So this is kind of like a little preview, and then we will be sending the full report out to you guys. And just wanted to point out the data limitations. Some FRCs serve more families from certain different demographic groups based on programs offered, recruitment, or community makeup. So this feedback represents those who visited FTF-funded FRCs during a specific time and chose to respond. So results might not fully reflect all communities, especially smaller samples, and should be interpreted within these limitations. So I just wanted to level set that. We can move on to the next slide, and Kat, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Hey. Okay. So we have our key findings from our Listen for Good report, which was just finalized, and we will be sending out to you shortly. There is a very long, in-depth report of what that one we will not be sharing out because it has specific grantee level data in it. But this project, while I'm sure very exhausting to all of you, is really wonderful. I am blown away by the results of this. I think Molly and I, our fellow staff, are probably more blown away than Molly and I, because we're always like, yeah, we know FRCs do this. Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know. Yeah, told you so. So it's really fun to be like, told you so. But listen, so the key finding number one is that family resource centers play a super important role as service providers in their communities, and that FRCs are meeting the needs of families. So 94% of clients said that their needs are met extremely or very well, which is amazing. And 99% of clients said that they always or usually feel respected by staff. And the net performance score is much, much higher than the Listen for Good benchmark. So Listen for Good was even surprised that our FRC's average net performance score was so high. And Molly and I are like, yeah, we know. But essentially, the net performance score is showing that families find trust and value in family resource centers, which is huge. And so other net performance scores are used from like various nonprofits, hospital systems, things like that. Okay. Next slide. Okay. This is super exciting to me. So when we asked families what outcomes they were seeing for themselves or their children due to their participation in FRC programming, this is what we got as the average across all of the FRCs. This is amazing. So we know that 83% of families who responded said that they know more about their child's development. 67% know more about how to support their child's emotions and social skills. 67% have more confidence in their own parenting skills. 65% have a stronger relationship with their own child as a result of attending your family resource center. 65% feel like they have more people that they can trust and go to ask about their child's development. 58% are less stressed. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. 55% are saying that they have a stronger support network as a direct result of attending your FRC, which is just amazing. Next slide. We specifically asked how family resource center classes were helping families' children. So this one's specifically on the children. And there was a lot of key things that were shown here. So 68% of families noticed improvement in social and emotional skills. So these are things like getting along with others, understanding emotion, sharing, showing helpful behaviors. 31% saw progress in language and literacy skills. So having an interest in books, singing, phonological awareness, recognizing letters, rhyming, early writing skills. 19% observed gains in their child's behavior skills. So having like better attention or impulse control, or being able to transition between activities with less trouble, or waiting, which is amazing. Also not on this slide, but 15% of families reported improvements in cognitive skills, like things like sorting and grouping, memory games, pretend play. So these results show that family resource center programming fosters a range of early essential development skills that set children up for lifelong success in kindergarten and beyond. And I think that that is freaking huge. Mic drop, right? I love you, Jennifer. Thanks for nodding and smiling and laughing into the screen. I can see your face. It's giving me energy. Okay, next slide. Okay, so when asked about specifically about referrals, so the question was, the question was like, I forget what the actual question was. It was something like, what are you getting out of referrals? But essentially, FRC's, your all's distribution of resources and referrals is making a real difference. Look at the difference. Nearly all families, so 98% of families who received resources or referrals reported at least one positive outcome, like knowing more about their child's development, knowing what resources are available, being less stressed. So I think that that's really amazing that 98% of families that have received a resource and referral from you all and answered this survey reported at least one positive outcome as a result of that referral. That is amazing to me, and it should be amazing to you because it's really hard to follow up on referrals and track referrals and see if the family used what you sent them or if you were on the money and the referral you gave them was what they needed at the time. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. And look at that stress number. I'm amazed by this. And I told you the stress marker in the previous slide I wanted to bring up again. I am super focused on parental stress right now and just how terrible and terrifying of a time it is to raise children. And our U.S. Surgeon General under the Biden administration released a public health advisory on parental stress and essentially said that nearly 48% of parents are so overwhelmed by stress on most days that this is impacting their overall well-being. So when we hear directly from families that their stress levels are going down because of the support that they are receiving from you at the Family Resource Center, because of the programming that you offer, because of your staff and your relationships with your staff at the Family Resource Centers, because of the resources and referrals that you offer, it's really, really important. And I want you to know that because this isn't just like, oh yeah, this is helpful. This is addressing a real widespread need. And it's what you are doing is making a meaningful difference in people's lives, which is just amazing. Next slide. Okay, so the third key finding was essentially that families want more support. So everything is fabulous and they want more. They want more quantity, length, and variety of classes or activities or hours of operation. They want to be able to expand access to more families, and they want more help with things like the application process for certain things. And one parent pointed out that their family, since their FRC was the only one of its kind, which might be true because they're all kind of different, that it should offer more activities and events through expanded hours. So a lot of the comments were on things like needing more expanded hours, wanting more sessions, longer sessions, a wider variety of sessions. So they're asking for more, which I think is amazing. And then, helping with the application process. I think it's a really challenging time to navigate external services. It's challenging for me trying to navigate external services for my kids, and I'm in the field. So families are just wanting more help with that resource referral navigation. And that's it. You all, can you believe this? Like, I hope this is super encouraging to you as you are about to embark on Loop 2. But I think it's super exciting. I would love to hear your thoughts on this information that I just shared with you. Or the roadshow summary that Molly shared with you, or the protective factors that Molly shared with you, because it's really a spectacular time and FRCs are having a moment.
I know, this is so exciting. I love your report. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's awesome.
Kat, how is this going to be shared with the regional councils?
Okay, so Molly and I and Allison, we did a regional council webinar with regional council members on Family Resource Center. So every single regional council that funds the Family Resource Center strategy, we did a webinar and shared the roadshow information, this information, the protective factor information like the number of families served through the FRCs, which I told you was a little more than 29,000. And then the duplicated number is super high. I'll let Molly search for it or Lily search for it because that's also a really exciting number. I can't remember it off the top of my head because as many of you know by now, numbers are not my thing. If it was like a color or a shape or a name, I would remember it. I want to say it's like 160,000 duplicated families, but I'll have Molly look that up and tell you. So we shared all of that information to the regional councils in a webinar that was recorded. There was not a large turnout from regional council members, to be honest. I think that the time slot might have been too early in the morning or it was just a chaotic day. It's recorded and available to them. This report will be going out this next week to all of you, to the regional councils, to the regional directors. I think some presentations are going to be done on this report to various groups that are participating in this like Family Resource Center expansion type work. So we will be setting a dissemination plan soon with the Piper Trust.
And we already presented to our regional council. Like they asked us to do a presentation every year. And when we put ours together, you know, a big portion of it was this Listen for Good. We didn't do so much on the protective factors, but the Listen for Good data, the benchmark is what we've never had before. The benchmark piece is like phenomenal, like being able to say that we are, you know, can benchmark against national other organizations nationally. That's something we've never ever been able to do before. And I'll also share that I had this meeting with somebody that's in research and innovation at the university. So he does industry, it's like microchips and conductors and stuff. So nothing to do with social services or family resource centers. And we were trying to explain to him what family resource centers was. And what he immediately says was the impact on people's stress levels for parents and the social connections, that parents are stressed out and they can't focus on work and it's distracting and they miss work a lot because they don't have childcare. And that was immediately what he gravitated to, was the less stressed.
That is so cool. So yeah, Janelle, maybe even ask your regional council, like, hey, I want to be able to come to a meeting and share our specific L4G data. So your individual grantee level data, Janelle, back to your question, we won't share. Like, we're just sharing the large summary that is like the summary of all the data because it's not grantee level specific. So if you want to share yours with your council, I totally encourage you to do so. I think that's awesome. And I was not far off, you guys. I said, I think it's over 167,000 or something like that. I said, and Lily put it in the chat. 167,247 duplicated families were
These numbers
served.
are your thing.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe I'm changing.
Change that narrative.
Changes. Yeah, but 29,000 over 29,000 individual families and over 167,000 duplicated families shows that families are coming back, and there's so much power in that. There's so much power in all of this data that we've collected. I know it's been annoying. I know it's been a long road. I know it's exhausting. I don't want to fill things out as a parent either, but I am so thankful that you guys are doing this work. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and Becky, we can have Julia or Lely, who's on here, set up a meeting with you to help you figure out how to work your part of the PFS database and possibly how to showcase your incredible work.
And we found that our
Go
we found that our protective factors was really close to the one that you showed. Like it was maybe 1% off, but it was almost identical, if that matters to you, Rebecca. Our individual years might be different, but I bet you it's very close to what they shared.
Yeah, and we will be sharing this report out RDs internally with people, but then we will also share it out with you guys. But as Kat had mentioned, this is the overall, which still shares some really good information, but to your councils and other stakeholders in your family resource center, that individualized data I think will have a bigger impact. And after our breakout session, we're going to talk about some ways that some of you guys have already used your data to share with some invested stakeholders, and then some other ideas of how you can share it in the future, because we know it's a lot to get this and we don't want it to just sit there. It was a lot to get this, to get families to take the survey, to do it, and it has showed some really great information, and we want to encourage you guys to scream it from the rooftops, share it with everybody. So we'll have some time to talk about that today. Jennifer?
I talk so much.
you
My
go.
question is for going forward. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but if you want to talk a little bit about going forward with our Listen for Good, and how would we, so we're going to do the Listen for Good stuff again this fall, and is that going to be a separate report, or will it be rolled into this report? Like, is it going to be two separate things or one big combination?
Yes, that's a really good question. And let me answer it to my understanding of it, because data is not my strong area. And then Lily and Kat, you can jump in. But so for round 2, they're going to give us raw data at the end and not this pretty report like we shared with you today and we'll share out. So then we'll have to comb through it, and I'm not sure if we have a way of how we will disseminate that information after. Kat, Lily.
Yeah,
I know
that's
Lily's just
exactly
kind of
right.
stepping in, so.
Yes, that's exactly right. But in other great news, your window for round 2 is expanding. Molly has the date that she can pull up for you, but the window has been pushed further back. I think it's like beginning of December now versus.
So we heard from the coaches that you guys felt like this was a really tight turnaround for this loop 2. And so L4G had proposed some additional time for you guys for the loop 2, and we said that was a really great idea. So your coaches will be in touch with you to go ahead and expand that. And I'm pulling it up right here, and I can read that to you, what it's going to look like, but you will hear more from your coaches on that. Hold on, I'm trying to get this up. So it looks like what was approved was, I've got it right here, that you guys will have time till the end of November to collect data versus the end of October, so essentially another month. And then until December 15th to code your own data versus November 17th. And then L4G will take their time to clean up the data and prepare the raw files for us, getting them to us in Q1 of 2026. They're functioning on different quarters, so that would really be our Q3 for us. And then just one other quick reminder that if you have not sent Lily your raw data from the individual questions, please do that. She sent an email with instructions how to do that. And if that is challenging, we're happy to jump on a call and walk you through that also. But if you have not been able to send us, we don't have access to your individual data. So we would like to see that. And just kind of look at and see if there's something in certain regions, just kind of go through and see what information we can learn from that. But in order to do that, we do need you guys to pull that data and send it to us. So we wish there was a better way, but unfortunately, this is the way to do that. Any other questions about that? I'm going to shift a little bit because I was going to do a peer share and breakout, but we are running tight on time. And I did want, I have Molly and Jennifer who are going to share ways that they have used their data. And then I also wanted to open it up to see if there were maybe other people who have used their data that I'm not sure of yet to share ideas, and then we can just talk about other ideas or other interests of sharing your data with invested stakeholders. So Molly Kemp, I will let you go first and talk about ways that you have compiled your data and used that. And Michelle, you can stop sharing
Thank you,
the
Molly.
presentation. Yeah.
So first, I have to give a shout out just to my colleagues because this summer I had the opportunity to network with Corey, and we were talking through what she did with her data from the L4G. And, you know, I know in talking to my leadership, they were like, we want some kind of like wrap up to what all of this survey, but also the data First Things First is collecting. So we did an annual report that we put together that was probably about 4 pages, and we had added pictures in. And we were able to then put snippets on social media so people saw like some of the outcomes. We also took our report and we shared it with our superintendent's office. We shared it with local partnerships so that they understood not only like what our expectations are through First Things First, but how we combine the Listen for Good into it. And then most recently, we sat down with our parent advisory committee and gave them this report. We had it translated in English and Spanish, and we were able to use it as a tool for them to be able to see like the great work that we're doing, and especially as we're ramping up for another set of surveys, for them to understand the value of their voice and how it was reflected. So we used it on multiple levels. You know, more so like the sharing out, we sent it to lots of stakeholders in the community as well, so that they could see and understand what the FRC really brings to the local community. So that's pretty much what we did.
Thank you. Any questions for Molly about that?
Molly, what did you, when you say you shared it on social media, what did that look like? Was it like a graph or like a statement or a picture in a statement?
It was. So thanks to Corey, seeing some of the things Corey had done, and then Michelle's wonderful Canva, you know, guru that she is, we were able to take Canva and make it be fun and appealing, not just kind of like the, you know, graphs. We wanted it to be where families looked at it and saw child friendly. And so we just took a couple of highlights we felt were important from our families' perspective to see, like, we realize you're asking for no more classes. This is what your peers said. So we just took a couple here and there. And again, like for us too, when we're talking with families, we always do go back and reflect, hey, when you guys took this survey, we know what was shared, or we know you're doing a good job. Look at this, you know, your social connections are doing really great for the center. You know, so we've just made it accessible to families.
That's great. Cool.
Thank you so much. Jennifer?
And we did a lot of the same things Molly did. One of the main things we did, the first thing we actually did was with our coach, we made a PowerPoint and we edited it down. She did the PowerPoint all on Listen for Good, but we included a lot of other important program updates. And then we went to our regional council and were able to give a 20-minute presentation that included mostly the benchmark. The benchmark was the one, you know, you have to look at your audience, but for the regional councils, I think one thing they've never seen is that how do we score against other programs? And so I think that was the main thing that we wanted to get across was that. And then we had some men that completed the survey. So that was another highlight for us, is that we were showing we'd never had men complete surveys before. It was always the female primary caregiver and the couple that usually did. So to have some dads or men do it was a highlight for us. For next month, we are going to put it in our newsletter. So right now we're compiling our newsletter for October, and we have 2 different newsletters. One goes to parents and one goes to stakeholders. And so we're going to parse those out. Some of the information will be the same, some will be a little bit different. We'll word it more towards the parents, like how we value your voice. I like how you said that, Molly, and that that your voice makes a difference, and highlight things that they said. And one of the things that they said, I mean, we did get a lot of, like, you get some generic, really generic stuff, and I think we're used to hearing that. We love you guys. The classes are great, and it's kind of, I mean, it's very valuable, but it's not detailed. And so it was great that we did get some more detailed ones, and one of them actually was very detailed, and it helped because you guys probably have the same problem. Is it's hard to get people registered for the classes and no duplicates and do it in a timely and fair way. And it's first come, first serve. All of that's hard to navigate. And we've done our best to make it equal for everybody, but somebody had a suggestion, and we incorporated it, right away. So, yeah, that score was 95 and the benchmark was 70. I mean, that is what we should all just be shouting from the rooftops. Yeah. But so we've had a lot of opportunities.
In the slides, but yeah, so
No.
the average score was 95 for all of the first things first FRCs that participated. We
Yeah,
had
I would
like
start
2 that
any
were too new to
presentation.
participate. Yeah. We had 2 FRCs that were too new to participate at the time, but and 76 is the benchmark for Listen for Good. So Listen for Good was like blown away by this. They're much higher than our set benchmark. And Molly and I are like, yeah, we know.
I know.
Cool.
And
It's so
you guys
awesome.
probably saw, like, the coaches were probably, because our coach kept just going on and on and on about, like, you got to use this, you got to use this. And we're like, I know, we know we're great. I feel like a little callous, but I like the idea of the social media. We've talked about doing that or not to do that. And we probably, after we do our newsletter, we'll probably follow up with some social media posts. But lastly, I want to say that we have been asked to do a couple proposals, and this Listen for Good, again, the Listen for Good stuff is good stuff to put in there. And the one, Kat or Molly help me, but the first slide you showed that had, like, I feel less stressed, my child's development, it was a blue, that matches almost perfectly with the protective factors. And so that was another crosswalk that we used. Yeah, exactly. So we
did that on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It was just so easy. And so we've already used it in some proposals to show the impact for, so I encourage you guys to save it, manipulate it, make pictures to go with it, make we also had somebody in the university went through and made impact statements around it, which was very cool. So that's like another way you can do it, is to make impact statement.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions for Molly or Jennifer or Kat and I that you want to ask about how they shared it or how they put their PowerPoint presentation together or anything? Or at this time too, I'll open it up. If anybody else has utilized their data and shared it with anybody, please share it this time also. We'd love to hear that.
So I'll share, this is Janelle from Lutheran Social Services, who also talks a lot. Jen and I are great friends. So we haven't quite shared yet. I have a presentation scheduled on October 1st. And we are looking at how we can take our Listen for Good, our protective factors, and also our program self-assessment from the quality standards and put all of that into a presentation to really show what our FRCs are doing. And so it was actually the meeting I was late, why I was late to this meeting. I was in a meeting for that. So that's what we're working on right now, is to take all 3 tools and put it together.
I love that you're doing the program self-assessment.
Thank you, Janelle. Becky, I see your hand up.
I was just gonna share that for our healthcare, net promoter scores are like a big deal. So like the hospital system also has net promoter scores. So it's been really exciting for us to have our own net promoter score because it's the language of our administrators. And so it's been really exciting to be able to have that common language to share us. So I haven't, I've been shared internally to our administration stuff, but I'll be going to the governing council coming up here and whenever I get on the agenda, but that's exciting to do that for the FQHC. So it's really cool to have that common language. I've just been excited to be able to do that.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I agree. We're learning as we're going too, and that net performer score is a lot of language that people speak that I think us in the early childhood field or social services, it's not really something we've talked a lot about. And I've learned so much in this process of working with L4G and how many people actually use that language. So I think it's been really helpful to utilize that as well. So thanks for bringing that up. Corey, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree. It's really nice just to have all of that data from the standpoint of like sharing that NPS with other, industries, and also just from the standpoint of like looking at our field and, presenting research posters or presenting, different things like that. Like, I just feel like we have a lot more data to work with and to play with and to really show concretely what it is that we do and the impact that we make. So it's been a lot of fun to just do all these, kind of different ways to present it. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions or anything they want to share?
Hey friends, something that I want to share is that probably next month, sometime in probably late October, we're going to be designing a presentation that really wraps up what family resource centers are, what they do, the websites that have recently launched to both locate family resource centers and then support a family resource center through the AZFRN site, plus this data, the protective factors data, and the lesson for good data, of course, concisely, because we're kind of going to share the whole shebang to really start, not start, but to elevate what has been going on, particularly in the past few years around kind of building this interconnected system through FRCs, really highlighting FRCs. And so I just want to say that and put that on your radar, that that's going to happen, and that we're going to be sharing that with our whole network and hoping that people who are not familiar with FRCs or who are really looking for solutions and strategies to support, particularly in this time of disintegrating lots of things, but particularly disintegrating trust, that to know that FRCs are these trusted hubs of connection and support for families, it really packs a punch. Everything that you do, we now have the stories, the data, it's not a matter of data or stories or anymore. It's now a matter of like getting this in front of everyone and over and over again. So this is really exciting. And I just want to share that we are going to be doing that big kind of promotion now that we have all the tools to be able to do it.
Super exciting. Thank you, Claire. We've got about 4 minutes. I'll do a quick little wrap up. If there's any burning questions or ideas anybody wants to share, go ahead. But I just wanted to say, I know we didn't get a time to do breakouts and peer and share, but we'll make sure to schedule that. But I feel like we had a lot of great information to share today, and we wanted to give everybody time to ask questions and share their ideas too. So I think it was still, I hope it was still informational and worth your time today. We appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. I know I had shared this survey a couple times. I'm going to share it again, but I've already pulled from some ideas that you guys have said in taking the survey and implemented it in today's COP meeting, and I can look at it for the next one, but I want to know what is beneficial for you guys. If you're taking time out of your day to be here, I want this to be beneficial for you. So I'm going to put a survey in, just asking some kind of topics or some peer share ideas you want to know, or some things that you want to learn about the SOP or from other FRCs. So if you have not had a chance to take this survey yet, I encourage you to do that. Or if you've taken it and new ideas have popped up, you can go ahead and take it again. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'll open the space for any last minute questions, comments, concerns, ideas that you guys want to share. If not, go on with your Friday, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend.
I also hope that, but I do have two quick things.
Yes.
So one, I used to work for a different nonprofit, and it was burned into my brain that anything above 50 was an excellent net promoter score. And I just looked it up, and it's like, yes, above 50 is excellent, above 80 is world class and unheard of. 95, I've literally never seen it. So I'm truly like so blown away, and that's just so exciting. So yeah, that should just be like plastered everywhere. That's great. The other thing I wanted to share was that we would like to push the next ACFRN quarterly virtual meeting, which typically has happened in the first week of October, that first Thursday. We would like to push it because we had the opportunity to invite someone incredible to come do some speaking for us, the PD portion, Dr. Roderick Logan, who's a traumatic stress expert and a resiliency life coach and an author, and just from the very little I've seen him interact with Claire, a very kind man. So he wasn't available that week, and then we wanted to avoid fall breaks. So we're hoping that that Thursday, October 23rd, is everyone can still attend. I will. Oh, that's a great question. There absolutely could be, Corey. There absolutely could be on the members page, which I now have access to as of this morning. I have access to the website and the back end, and we can make anything happen, basically, which is very exciting. So we can work on that.
Look how far we've come.
I know. It's very, honestly, like all the things are happening, and it's so exciting. Yeah. So thank you, by the way, to those of you who have emailed me updates that I need to make to your map listings. Now I can do it. I have the access to get in and do it. So if you've noticed things that you would like to see changed or updated, please send that my way, and I will make that happen over the next 2 weeks or so. But yes, also you'll be getting a calendar invite with this information about the 23rd. I just wanted to put that out there because I know typically it's the first week of October, and so yes. Okay, that's it for me. Is that it?
That was great. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll send you this video link as soon as it's uploaded, and then you can share it with whoever wasn't able to make it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, friends.
Thank you. So good to see everybody on a Friday afternoon.